Hey, here's part three of this special Doug Pagitt Radio video conversation edition with Matthew Lee Anderson on his article that was in Christianity Today in March of 2013, here called "Here Come the Radicals," and we had a great conversation. Here's part three.
uh,
But
after
but
reading all
but is it
this.
intriguing to you as it is to me? And I wonder you spent more times in these books when you're writing this that there's something about a Christian subculture that I think a lot of these books move within, where self-doubt and Christian self-loathing is an expected part of the Christian experience, right? Where you're always going to feel like, man, I should be more than fill in the blank, more sold out, more committed. Like there's something that um, and you think maybe if I got into a different study or if I got into a different like there's a whole economy of this stuff. It seems like where a person, if they were to ever settle into, you know what, I think I'm living in a pretty good way right now, and I really think that my commitments in life and the way I'm contributing to the benefit and blessing of the world feels really good. That system's not designed for that, right? It's designed for a kind of constancy of dissatisfaction.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of putting it. I think I've the way in which evangelical passions,
Uh,
emotions are formed, um, lends itself towards needing that sort of
hmm,
constant stimulus, and that creates a certain sort of doubt. I mean, there's one way of reading the movement, such that the legacy of romanticism,
hmm,
poetic romanticism, sort of bleeds
nice.
and pervades it. Um, and
Interesting.
no
Yeah.
one has the sort of internal angst and self-doubting like the romantics do. I mean, they're just
Right.
questioning all over the place.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a sense in which that experiential
Huh.
focus creates that sort of environment. But frankly,
Hmm.
um, I'm not sure that's unique to Platt or those
Right.
folks at all. I mean, that's
I think
the,
that's true.
the the whole sort of young evangelical
Oh yeah.
culture right now is just in love with this romanticized notion of doubt that is very existential, and we're very interested in our angst, and I think, well, good, we're good moderns.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, and see, yeah. And I don't know that it's a comfort with doubt. I think it's a comfort with perceived hypocrisy. So there's a high level of confidence in belief amongst many, and a very dissatisfied sense of how their lives are actually being lived. And there's a comfort level with that. And I feel like there's people who traffic in that because there's enough things that are called for in your Christian life, right? That you could just keep the angst and dissatisfaction train rolling all day long, right? You could say, well, do you do enough for the poor? Well, do you make enough money? Are you doing enough for your kids? Do you spend enough time with your wife? Do you spend enough time alone? Like the list of requirements around what is sort of mythologized as a Christian life, it's unlivable. It seems to me like maybe a community could do it, or maybe the worldwide following of Jesus could sort of put it all together. But it gets individualized into each person where there simply is not enough money in anyone's budget and enough commitment in anyone's heart and enough time in anyone's day to fulfill all those things. And that seems to be what's being trafficked in. And I was sensing you picking that up a little bit, but maybe I've overread your thoughts.
No, I think that's certainly right. Part of my background, there's a great book called "I Told Me So" by a
Oh,
guy named Greg Tanelsov
mm-hmm.
on the place of self deception in the Christian life.
Uh-huh.
And he actually sort of reads self deception as one way in which God extends grace to us. Um,
Mm.
and I think there needs to be a sort of um, I'm okay with the slow process of sanctification in one sense, um,
Mm.
because I think as I continue to follow after God, He's going to show me things, and I just want to trust Him more and more
Yeah.
that those things are going to be shown to me
Uh,
when at the right time, in
mm-hmm.
the right way,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm ready for them. And if I'm not ready for them, then He's not going to show me.
Oh yeah.
Um, but that's a notion of sanctification that um, cuts against some of the, some of the sense of that you have to sort of sell all your belongings and
Right.
go live with the poor. But I also take that view because I have a really, I think, broader understanding of the goods of creation in one sense. I want to say something like, some people are going to be called to that vocationally. Other people are not. And I'm not totally convinced that living the American dream is itself per se intrinsically wrong, or whatnot. And so I've got different background commitments, that I think, on this stuff.
So you also write this section where you say, basically, look, the arguments in this rhetoric style, which comes out in the books and the YouTube videos and the whole industry of it, right? I think anyway, it comes out in the whole industry. You say there aren't many narratives in that world where a man rises at 4 a.m. 6 days a week to toil away in a factory to support his family, or a single mother who works 10 hours a day to care for her children, juggling by the tenor of their stories. Being radical is mainly for those who already have an upper middle class status to sacrifice. And is that okay? So like, I think you're right about that. There's this sort of like, hey, if you could give up all your stuff and go live with the poor, and I spend enough time with people who are on the raw end of the economic system. No poor person wants to be there. And no poor person says, "Oh, I mean, this is just fantastic. I'm really seeing God shine right now." By the fact that my child is struggling and I'm struggling and our house isn't safe. But to move into that and give that up from your suburban upbringing or from your Christian college that you went to, can feel like a contrast. So is this just the kind of like? Do you and I just pay too much attention to a group of people who are trying to talk to folks who have benefited from a certain cultural and economic system and need to see some balance, and maybe we shouldn't be so hard on them?
Quite possibly. I am totally open to that. And when people critiqued me for, quote, letting folks off the hook at the very end of my piece,
Really? What were you supposed to do? What did they want you to do?
I mean, tell people that they should go live with the poor, sell all their possessions.
Interesting.
I am open to the critique, and I want to hear it and listen to it, and because I want to be faithful, and I think I really do want to be faithful. Most days.
Yeah.
But that said, Shane Claiborne, he put up on Facebook or a link to someone who just rightly critiqued me, I think, in some ways. But they critiqued me for putting him in this dialogue because he has done many of the things that I've done and that I said.
Yes.
Near at the end, and I agree that he has done that. What's so attractive about it is that, as you said, it's college kids from Wheaton and Biola and whatnot who are buying this book, Ordinary Radicals, who are going and doing that. And we can't miss that fact in understanding what's going on.
And I think.
All right, that's part 3. One more segment to come, and it gets all love fest. You'll enjoy it.